Kyle, I think you said it best when you tweeted from the Locked On Canucks account. When you said Elias is Swedish for blank check. This guy's going to get paid, but how much is he going to get paid? We're going to tell you next. It's Beggsy and it's Bhawan, and you're listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer and credentialed media member for Daily Hive Vancouver. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Go visit fanduel.com/lockedon today to get started. And before we dive into the show, we want to thank you for listening to Locked On Canucks. It's your team every day, or at least 3 days a week right now, okay? Summertime mode, okay? Hey, make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, Kyle, this is the first time that you and I have recorded since I turned 30 years old. I did not get a new computer for my birthday because, I'm not making Elias Pettersson money here. You know what I mean? But, hopefully for, the future Locked On Canucks, I can upgrade the equipment. We get over these Wi-Fi issues, but hey, we still here. We're still going to talk about Elias Pettersson, that new contract. But first and foremost, someone who will probably never make as much money as Elias Pettersson, and that is Kyle Bhawan.
Well, no. That's not true, man. That's not true. I still have a lot of faith in myself that, my podcast network is going to, garner me, $30 million a month. So do the math.
Bold.
Do the math.
Bold.
You can't play hockey forever, but I can talk beep forever, okay? I almost put out the S word, but Jay was just going in on the comments, and a father was going in on the comments as well. Speaking of the comments, we'll get to Comment Corner at the end of the show. Happy birthday, Trevor, okay? You just heard it. Breaking news. This guy is going to get a new router, right? So we can go back to 1080p when he's at the office. That's breaking news, okay? We need to do these things in anticipation for the start of our careers, okay? Because whatever we've been doing now with Locked On Canucks since March, I feel as if it's been a long off season, right? And we're warming up to whatever October is going to bring for us, the program, and the listeners. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan, Locked On Canucks, and today we're talking about Pettersson, man. Pettersson, that contract. I'm excited to play this game. I'm excited to see the math that you've done, the comparisons that you've done, because we're going to guess Elias Pettersson's next contract. Now, leave a comment below because you can guess as well. And if you get it right, if you get the exact dollar amount right, I will send you a t-shirt. Boom.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
Coming from a guy who's about to make $30 million a month, so it's all good. You can send out a few t-shirts, buddy. It's all good.
A car, right? Like a Honda Civic. We'll send you a t-shirt, okay?
Oh,
for real.
Okay. There we go.
We'll get it going.
Speaking of t-shirts, you're wearing a great shirt today. Audio only listeners, you missed out on Kyle. It's like almost like a black and white kind of. It looks almost like it could be like a fancy rug.
It's a bandana or a good bandana. Come on, man. Trevor Beggs, stop talking about fashion, man. Talk about Pettersson.
All right. Yeah, Elias Pettersson.
Okay, 8 years. How many millions? Are we talking about $100 million?
I don't think it's quite going to hit 100 million. So that would be the Connor McDavid special, right? He'd have to make 12.5 million per season to hit over 8 years to hit the $100 million mark. So I don't think he's quite there. But I want to bring up, who I think is probably the best comparable right now to Elias Pettersson in terms of value. A guy who recently signed a big contract, and that's David Pastrnak. Okay, David Pastrnak, the Boston Bruins. He's 2 years older than Pettersson, but he signed that 8-year, $11.25 million deal back in the spring. Okay, so big part of Boston's future. And shout out to the Athletic and their player cards. I'm going to bring up Petey's player card right now, okay? Look at this beautiful dude, okay? Number 40 for your Vancouver Canucks. Make it $7.35 million right now. His market value is $14.9 million, according to the Athletics model. So it's a surplus value of $7.5 million. That's some nice surplus value right there. Kyle, you want to guess who else has a market value of $14.9 million, according to the Athletic?
Wow. Okay, can you give me the conference or something at least, man?
It's the Eastern Conference.
There you go. I don't know. Damn, bro. Austin Matthews?
No, it's the guy I just mentioned, David Pastrnak, buddy. He has the
Oh,
exact same market value according to the
okay.
Athletics model as Elias Pettersson. So I know Pasternak's a winger, but I would say that that's a really, really strong comparable for what Pettersson's next deal could be. Okay. So, I think one thing to consider is, Pastrnak signed that deal before there was an announcement of how much the cap might go up next season. So, here's some rough math for you. Okay, Kyle. So right now the cap's projected to go up, from 83.5 million next season to 87.5 million in 2024-25. That's a
Okay.
4.7% increase. If Pettersson were to sign the exact same deal as Pastrnak, but we're projecting a 4.7% increase, that's basically $500,000 more per season. So an $11.75 million deal. A couple of things to consider: Pettersson's younger. Pettersson's a center. So
And Patterson's better.
You think Pettersson's better than Pastrnak? Eh?
I know goals. Okay, goal
I think there
scoring
might be
is
some West Coast bias. I'm here for it, but I think that might be some West Coast bias there.
a little bit of a West Coast bias, but Patterson's a lot younger too. Like for real, do the math. It matters. You play center, and look at this. Okay, Cam Robinson doing the math for us. Okay, look at this. Last season, Pettersson was the first player in NHL history to record 100 points, 3 OT winners, and 5 shorthanded goals. Prime Pettersson is fun. He also got some Selke votes, and he's going to get better and better, and be used more. And I don't know. I know there's some West Coast bias there. Pastrnak does score a lot of goals, and he's proven to do it even in like the playoffs and whatnot. And he's just a great player, really, really good player. But I think Prime Pettersson is way more important than Prime David Pastrnak. That's just the truth.
Yeah, and honestly, based on aging curves, there's a lot of research out there that suggests, peak players right now are, it's not like 27, 28, 29, 30. It's kind of like 22 to 26, right? So Pastrnak is, by that model, towards the end of its prime. It's still
Dude,
obviously
I hate that. I hate that stuff, though, man. Come on, okay, Beggsy.
That's what the fancy stats say, buddy. I'm just the bearer of bad news.
And some of the listeners on the show too, because I think we all fall under the bracket. I think we need to stop putting that stuff out there because of our ages. Like you just turned 30, so you best believe the prime years of our lives, our professional excellence is now / endless. Okay, and again, Pastrnak, I feel like this guy has like 5, 6, 7 more years of being, again, one of the best goal scorers in the game. I just feel as if Pettersson does a little bit of everything. I'm not going to go out and say this guy is Patrice Bergeron down the middle, Patrice Bergeron as a two-way center. No, I'm not going to say that. Nobody's going to be like that, but he's damn good. He's damn good, and I want to see that in the playoffs, and I want to see that at 24 minutes a game. I don't want to see that all while, this guy's putting up 100 points. Like, there's not a lot of players like Pettersson. There isn't. He's on the verge of becoming an outlier. Like, Pettersson's going to be really, really good defensively. Again, not as good as number 37, maybe not as good as Datsuk, but both those guys are not going to, like, I don't even think has Bergeron ever had a 100-point season? I think he has. And maybe Datsuk as well, but I think Pettersson just has that alien-like ability to as well put up a bunch of points every single year. We're talking about a guy that just put up 100 points. We're talking about a guy that even last season, in the year before, this guy hits crossbar after crossbar after crossbar. You know what I'm saying? This guy just a point machine. We're about to see it. And as far as the market value, or whatever the Athletic is saying, or whatever the charts are saying, $14.5 million. Dude, the cap is going up, and I think this is the opportunity to do right by Elias Pettersson and pay him as much as he needs to get paid, for real. Well, we might see. I know you're like, that $100 million contract's not going to happen. That's like Connor McDavid territory. Connor McDavid signed that contract years ago. And things are changing. So I would not actually be surprised if Pettersson did sign like an 8-year deal worth like $13 million a year. Give it to him.
I think if you're the Canucks, you got to do what you can and try to keep it under that number. I get it. He's one of the best players in hockey. He's going to make his money. But even if he gets the David Pastrnak contract, he's going to be one of the highest players in the NHL. He's going to blow it out of the water for, being the highest paid Canuck of all time. So
who
for
is
me,
the highest paid Canuck?
What's that? Sorry,
I keep cutting you off. Sorry, it's the summer. Okay, we're having fun. Who's the highest Canuck? What's the most expensive contract in Canucks history?
Okay. This sounds like it's time for
Trevor's trivia starts now.
And okay.
All right. So let's do it this way. I'll ask a few questions, and this is courtesy to my coworker Rob at Daily Hive. Did this a couple seasons ago. The highest cap hit for 1 year in terms of just dollars. Do you want to guess it, Kyle?
Matt Sundin.
So that's I'll give that to you. So that was the biggest in terms of the largest prorated contract in Canucks history. Because it was $5.625 million for half a season, or $11 million a season. In terms of just like a 1 year cap hit, I'll give you one more guess. It's obviously pretty recent because of
JT
inflation.
I don't know. Yeah, JT Miller.
JT Miller will set the record next season at $8 million.
There you go. That's what I was thinking. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here, you want to? Here, I got a couple more from Rob. Okay. A little more Trevor's trivia quickly. Which player took up the highest cap percentage? And again, we're thinking Cap Barry here, so 2003, 2004 onwards. Which Canucks contract took up the most percentage of the cap with one contract?
It's got to be like, so when the lockout ended, what was the salary cap at? Like a $38 million. So what was it? Marcus Naslund?
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Come on, man. Wasn't that Philip? Kyle doesn't know anything? You'll suck on that.
Yeah, that was I'm proud of you, buddy. So yeah, Naslund in 2005, 2006, his $6 million salary ate up 15.38% of the Canucks salary cap, which was $39 million at the time. So I'm gonna end it there, Kyle. So good on you. A little contract trivia. You did pretty well.
Thank you.
Let's wrap up and get to break. But my prediction for Pettersson's next contract: 8 years, $11.5 million. Again, I'm hoping the Canucks can maybe get it. It almost feels weird to say it's a bit of a discount, but I think, like you said, Kyle, this guy has a case for 12 million plus. I think if the Canucks can get him in that 11.5 on an 8-year deal, it'd be a big win. And obviously, again, Pettersson will be making $92 million over the life of that 8-year contract. So 8 years, $11.5 million. That's my prediction for Elias Pettersson's next contract.
Okay, so Trevor, I can see that happening mid-season, sometime during the season. I think if the Canucks, though, are negotiating that deal in late August, like we heard his agent say, they'll get back to the table, have a barbecue, cook a couple ribs up, who knows, talk contract. I think if Pettersson signs a deal this offseason without the proof of concept, which is, don't worry, Pettersson, don't worry, Elias, we're going to start winning games, okay? You're going to start competing in hockey games that matter. We're going to fill that void in your life. Don't worry. Without that being proven, I think you're going to have to pay this guy more to keep him and not run the risk of this guy entering. I know he's an RFA, but we're seeing it. We're seeing it, man. Like disgruntled players that want out, blah, 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 the Canadian market, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they want to run that risk, and they might have to pay a premium before the season to get him signed. And as well, and this has to be noted as well, because it's recent history. They did this guy so dirty, and they did the whole organization dirty. For real, they could have cleaned this up years ago, but Benning had to sign Jake Virtanen. He had to sign Tanner Pearson a month before the season ended. You know what I'm saying? He had to use his money elsewhere, and that just blew up in their face. It didn't result in wins, which could have, reduced the cost of this Pettersson contract. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't think Pettersson is that impressed. And he's not like fully satisfied / knowing that this is a guarantee that the Canucks are turning this thing around. And I think the one way that they can reduce the cap hit is, again, proof of concept and success on the ice. And I don't know, like Ian Cole, Carson Soucy, like there's just a lot to prove before Pettersson believes in this team. Anyways, Locked On Canucks, Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think Pettersson will sign for? Let's get to break. Beggsy, who are we shouting out?
Oh man, there's so many things I could have followed up with there, but great ramble, Kyle. And again, you're sounding like the dark guy on the show. You call me the dark guy. You went down a dark rabbit hole.
Whoa, Trevor, what are you saying there, man? You're not allowed to say that, bro. It's 2023.
Oh, come on.
You call me the dark guy on the show? Come on, bro.
You know what I meant. Jesus. Okay, we got to cut the break here before things go off the rails. So I got to tell you, take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets, up to $200. That's right, just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you could spend betting on everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. hey, maybe it'll be Shohei Ohtani in a Blue Jays uniform. That's all over the Canadian media right now. But enough about the Blue Jays getting rammed down our throats up here in Canada. I got to tell you, just get on FanDuel. It's an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball.
By the way, before we get back to the show, I got to remind you again that every episode of Locked On Canucks will be available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcatcher at 4:20 p.m. for no reason at all. Again, every episode of Locked On Canucks at 4:20 p.m. for no reason at all. Let's get back to the show. Okay, we back. Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Hey, Pettersson. You know why I also say it's okay to break the bank? I know there's strategy behind this, and you got to be efficient with the cap. This all being said, I have faith that the cap will go up a lot over the time of this new Pettersson deal, and the Pettersson deal will, even at like $12.5 million, even at 13, it might look like a steal in a couple of years because this guy's going to continue to get better. I also think this guy has the ability to be so much more than just a great hockey player for Vancouver. Like, he can really help put the city on the map. He's got the swagger. And that's because he may be one of the faces of the NHL. Vancouver, West Coast, one of the best players. I saw this weird niche stat tweeted out by Big Head Hockey, okay? Everyone younger than Elias Pettersson with more career points than him, and it's nobody. If Vancouver starts winning, Petey can quickly become one of the biggest faces in the league. Now, I know that's a really niche stat. Like, oh, everyone who's younger than Pettersson, who has more points? Nobody. Like, that's not that alarming. But with the rise of the youth movement and so many good players across the board that are around Pettersson's age, if not younger, just know that, again, this guy is at the top of that class. Like, how old is Pettersson again? 24?
Yeah, he'll be 20. He'll be 25 in November.
Okay, so he turned 25. So just think about that stat. Nobody from 20 to 24, 21 to 24, 22 to 24, which is probably the right category when comparing stat lines with Pettersson, has more points than this guy. And we just saw this guy come up with a 100-point season on a Vancouver Canucks team that still had him playing with Cal Peterson. And, like, you know what I'm saying? I know he played with Kuzmenko, but there's a lot of room to grow there. And that deal that Pettersson signs this offseason, or maybe this season, hopefully, could be a steal in a couple of years. Speaking of value, Beggsy, you want to talk about it, okay? The best value contracts on the Vancouver Canucks. Let us know what you're thinking about, okay?
I mean, I love to give you an original answer and talk about someone else, but my best value contract right now is Elias Pettersson. I'm going to flash the card again, okay? And these are the fancy stat boys. I'm just piggybacking off of them. But again, we're talking about a guy whose market value, according to The Athletic last season, was $14.9 million. That's a surplus value of $7.5 million. This guy should be making twice the amount of money, according to The Athletic, okay? And now I know there's maximums in terms of NHL salary caps. Like, I know McDavid's market value, according to their model, is $21.5 million. Austin Matthews is like $18.9 million, I think it is. So, look, at the end of the day, Pettersson's one of the best players in hockey. It's unfortunate that Benning signed him to a 3-year bridge deal. Like, can you imagine if they locked up Pettersson at like 8 years, $9 million back then? I mean, it would have been a freaking steal. So that's so many reasons to be mad at the Benning era. But, at the time, I think that was pretty obvious that, only signing Pettersson to the bridge was a mistake. And like I said, prioritizing other guys, blah, blah, blah. We already went down that rabbit hole a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's my best value contract on the Canucks right now. And I don't know if it's that close. I would probably have Quinn Hughes second.
Yeah.
I know technically or right now, I mean, Quinn Hughes at $7.85 million has the highest cap hit of any player in Canucks history. JT Miller will surpass that at $8 million, but right now it's Quinn Hughes, and he's still, providing massive value. He's one of the best defensemen in the league. And I'll say kind of lastly here, I got a couple more points of value, I guess, but Thatcher Demko, he had a bad season last year, but if he gets back to like a near Vezina form, that $5 million contract will be a steal. It just wasn't last season, and he's got to prove it again. And finally, the last player on my mind is Phil Hronek. Now, I know he's going to be due for a big raise, but you kind of hope he proves it this season because the Canucks are not going to be a playoff team if he doesn't. And I believe his market value from that athletic model is around $9 million. Obviously, he's not really a $9 million player, but it kind of highlighted the fact that this guy can put up points and be a good defensive player. So, right now it's Pettersson, but I'm hoping that Hronek has one of the best value contracts next season, getting paid $4.4 million right now.
Yeah, man, and I know it's a scary situation when it comes to Hronek because of cap hell and blah, blah, blah. And as soon as the Canucks are going to have some cap space, they're going to have to use all of it, not just on Pettersson, but on Hronek as well. And we got to hope that Hronek is going to get paid a lot because we need this guy to be elite. I think that Quinn Hughes contract is going to look good for a while, for real. Like we already know it. That was what they should have done with Pettersson.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
100%.
They didn't. They chose to be strategic with Quinn Hughes before him. And not that like Pettersson will hold grudges about that, but he'll remember things like that. And that's why I feel as if there can't be too much strategy / manipulating with a negotiation with Pettersson this time around. Because it already happened.
Yeah.
It happened post that performance he had in the bubble as well. Everyone else was getting paid. Everyone else was getting term. But no, we had to sign Jake Virtanen. So
it's important to remember. I know, Francesco Aquilini's still around, but different GM, different management regime in charge aside from that, right? So that's an important thing to remember. And I still remember Alvin going on Sportsnet 650 and saying that he'd have Pettersson over for Swedish meatballs to help hammer out the new deal. So, Alvin, is Betting making Swedish meatballs? I don't think so. Betting was probably taking this guy to A&W. Get out of here.
Dude, man.
Unbelievable.
Dude, man. Okay, so a couple good value
burger
deals this season, going into this season. And all of this talking about that, you brought up Demko, you brought up Hronek, you brought up Quinn Hughes, you brought up even Pettersson's cap hit. It's like, oh my, Benning tried playing that card. I know he wasn't responsible for the Hronek thing, but he definitely, I think when he was in negotiations with Pettersson and that's all he could get out of Pettersson and all that stuff, he was doing the math in his head. He's like, you know what though? Within those 3 years, something's going to happen. Something big's going to happen. There's going to be some team success and everyone will forget about it. And fast forward to the now, and it's like, holy, we didn't get no home playoff games, no hope, Hope is dope. Hope is dope. Put that on a shirt. None of that for a city. And it's like, damn, bro. All that being said, again, I said it a couple minutes ago, we may break the bank for Pettersson. I think in the beginning, the first 5 minutes of this massive deal that will come through his way, there will be some people like, yo, well, how are we going to win? How are we going to win when we're paying our best guy this much? Look at what's happening with McDavid and the Oilers and spreading out the wealth and blah, blah, blah. Again, that contract is going to be of value down the road. Not because he's going to provide what he provided last year, but I do have a feeling that Pettersson still has room. And we've seen the photos, bro. This guy's getting to work. He's going to get better. And what does a better Pettersson look like? Is it 110 points? Is it 115 points? I think so.
Can't wait for that, man. And, you said it, hope is dope. You know what else is dope? Comment corner, okay?
Hey.
Before we get there again, in the comments, let us know who has the best value contract on the Canucks. Let's get to it, man. Comment corner on the other side, baby. Here on Locked On Canucks.
All right. You back. We back. Locked On Canucks. Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bhawan. Your team every day, sort of, kind of, not really. Like Beggsy alluded to 20 minutes ago, 3 days a week. 3 days a week up until the start of training camp and whatnot. And yesterday, I used that downtime to think more about the future of the show. And I'm, again, excited to implement a lot of this imagination on Locked On Canucks and doing it for the listeners. For real, man. We so lucky, man. We so lucky to have people watching the show and commenting on this show. Hey, speaking of the comments, let's do it. Let's run Comment Corner.
It's time for Comment Corner.
First comment goes to Adam, okay? Hronek was Detroit's best D-man for most of last season. I think people are dramatically underestimating him. Giving up the 17th and 42nd pick were gambles, but it's not an unreasonable amount for a proven true performer.
Okay.
I think I get it, even if you look at the stats and what people said about Hronek's play last season. You know, he was really good. He took a step defensively, and he was still able to provide that level of offense. It is still a gamble and a big gamble, not only because of the injury, but because of the fact that this guy's hasn't been winning. He hasn't been winning. We want winners on this team, so he's got to prove it. He's got a lot to prove.
Yeah, I really got to push back on the proven true performer. I mean, first and foremost, thanks for commenting there. We do always love the comments here. It's make a comment corner, baby. But Filip Hronek, I mean, you know, this guy was thrust into a top pairing role in Detroit, wasn't ready for it, got absolutely shelled at even strength. And it wasn't until last season when they finally pushed him down into a second pairing role and elevated Mort Seider into that first pairing role where Hronek really started to succeed. But again, not playing the toughest matchups, second pairing role. So, I mean, yeah, he was good defensively. He put up points. Like, he was awesome last season, but it was one good season, okay? He's had one good season as a true, well-rounded top 4 defenseman. So, yeah, he's got a lot to prove. And, you know, we're going to talk about it coming up here, maybe on the next episode here of Locked On Canucks, a good 2.5 hour deep dive on Filip Hronek. No, 30 minutes or less. Come on, let's go, Kyle.
Dude, the documentary is coming out. We're finding out his favorite meals and all that jazz. And yo, it's all love for Hronek, man. Again, I want this guy getting paid. I want him getting paid a lot because if that's the case, he helped this team win. I feel as if Hronek has a good season and takes strides, but the team is still losing, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. For real, that opens up the door for a lot. I don't even want to go there, man. I don't even want to go there. Okay, there was another comment below Adams. It was from Nathan, and he says everyone sleeps on Mikheyev because he was injured last season. Blah blah blah. Dude, I don't know if you and I are sleeping on Mikheyev because I think we've talked about how he proved us wrong because at the time of his signing, you and I on the other show, the morning practice, we were kind of pissed off because it kind of seemed as if the Canucks were doing the same thing, you know, landing the biggest fish on a team that continues to be a bottom dweller. Doesn't make a lot of sense. We were kind of pessimistic / negative about his arrival to Vancouver. And then last season, when he did play, he was good. He was really good. And then we found out he was doing this on 1.5 knees. So I think there's a lot of room here for Mikheyev to not prove us wrong because you and I are neutral now, but to exceed expectations going into next season.
Yeah, and I almost think, you know, Mikheyev might be a bit overrated rather than people sleeping on him, to be honest with you. I mean, he put up the points last season. He's got the big salary. Probably had some inflated. Definitely had an inflated shooting percentage playing with Pettersson. So, and he's coming off, you know, a major knee injury. So I think there's a lot of risk with Mikheyev too. And I think that's probably the thing that's not talked about compared to people sleeping on him. I think the risk is what people aren't really talking about here.
Wow, dude, Trevor, man. Stop that,
I went back
dude.
to being the dark guy there.
You're the darkest guy on the program, man. Let us know in the comments below. Okay, look at us if you're on YouTube. Who's the darkest guy on the program? Exactly, Trevor Beggs, man. Okay, more comments. We got to do it, okay? Shiraz, this is the dude who watches the show with his child, okay? This 10-year-old kid. And Beggsy, you kept dropping the word sexy on our last episode of Locked On Canucks, and that was because we talked about the lineups, okay? It was the line combination special. Trevor Beggs went sexy with it, went fire with it, and he made predictions. A lot of predictions.
Woo.
Who did you have on the top line again? With
You have to check out the episode. I can't remember.
Oh, man. And how about Höglander and Pot Coles and playing with who? Again, check out the episode. Anyways, Shiraz did say that instead of using sexy, his kid recommended we use the word fire. All right? And he did also mention how we shouldn't be using the F word, okay?
Not in my vocabulary. I got 2 young kids, you know?
Dude, it's tough out here for me, man. If you know me or know anything about everything that we've been doing in this studio, dude, I talk a lot. I talk a lot of beep, all right? I upload new episodes every tomorrow on my network, and a lot of swear words fly. Then I got to cross over to this side and tame it down a bit. And I think I have been. I'm pretty proud of myself. We record almost every day, and the swear words have reduced. And yeah, I'm not gonna use the F word, but I do really appreciate the honesty from Shiraz, for real, to let us know that the insight. He's watching the show with his kid, dude. Trevor, we made it, bro. We made it, man.
Like I said, we're living a blessed life, man. You know, getting paid the big bucks here on Locked On Canucks to give it to you listening right now. So it's a privilege and it's an honor, and we're gonna keep doing it until they tell us not to do it. Okay, your team every day for eternity.
For eternity, okay. And before I leave and let Beggsy sign us out like he does always, I got to say this, okay? We didn't mention it once during the program, and it's pretty clear that Beggsy and I don't give a beep. All right, don't give a fat beep. Don't give a fat. I don't even know what to say in replace of the F word. But the assistant general manager, one of them for the Vancouver Canucks, moves on to Toronto. You know what? A month, 5 weeks after the draft. I don't know the math. Maybe a couple weeks after the draft, and it could be alarming. Blah blah blah. But we don't care. Okay, come on, man. We don't care. You know why we don't care too? I think it's pretty honest. It's pretty clear, I should say, that this year, even though with all the shenanigans and all the things that Aquilini has done to us over the years and the whole Benning ordeal and our distrust in whatever the Canucks do with their management and coaching staff, blah, blah, blah. This year it's about the players, and we're holding the players accountable. That's the thing. It's the truth, right, Beggsy?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, there's been major changes, right? You know, third coach in less than 2 years, overhaul at front office. I mean, dude, it's on the players now.
Dude, it's on the players, man. I don't want to hear this. We don't got the time for that, man. Demko, Hughes, Pettersson, and company, they got to prove that they're not only going to be good hockey players, but they figured out how to win games. For real. Also, this opening that's actually closed, Rutherford said that he doesn't want to bring anyone else in. They got a lot of hockey minds up there. It's all good. If they do want to open it up, there's only one guy, okay? It's Clay, dude. Canuck Clay. Not Canucks Clay.
Go.
It's Canuck Clay. If you guys need a new AGM, let's get Canuck Clay in there. Beggsy, that was another episode of Locked On Canucks. Your team every day, sort of, kind of, not really. Right now, we're only doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll be back to full-time sometime in September. Anywho, Beggsy, sign us out.
Hey, well, again, only 3 days a week, but hopefully we're in your heart 7 days a week. But for now, shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners. And then if this is your first time listening, welcome to the Locked On Canucks family, baby, okay? You know, the next episode, I think we're going to talk a little Philip Hronek, okay? The most important man on the Canucks next season. Ooh. How good can he be? What's the ceiling? What's the floor? All that good stuff. Also want to talk a little bit about Teddy Bluger, okay? You know, we did the deep dive on Cole and Susie. Got to do a bit of a deep dive on Bluger as well. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bhawan. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.